Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Lalita Vishakha, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Lalita Vishakha, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. जय राम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद-गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So, Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, text number 54. Arjuna uvāca, sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā, samādhi-sthasya keśava, sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta, किम āsīta vrajeta किम sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā, samādhi-sthasya keśava, sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta, किम āsīta vrajeta किम. Arjuna uvāca, sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā, samādhi-sthasya keśava, sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta, किम āsīta vrajeta किम. किम sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā, vrajeta किम. Arjuna uvāca, sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā, word by word meaning. Arjuna uvāca. Arjuna said, sthita-prajñasya, of one who is situated in fixed Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Ka, what? Bhāṣā, language. Samādhi-sthasya, of one situated in trance. Keśava, O Kṛṣṇa. Sthita-dhīḥ, one fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Kim, what? Prabhāṣeta, speaks. Kim, how? Āsīta, does remain still. Vrajeta, walks. Kim, how? Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna said, O Kṛṣṇa, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? Please repeat. Arjuna said, O Kṛṣṇa, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? Purport. As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation, similarly, one who is Kṛṣṇa conscious has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man. As a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased. Or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness of Kṛṣṇa has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad-gītā. Most important is how the man in Kṛṣṇa consciousness speaks. For speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. But I am speaking today. And certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptoms of a Kṛṣṇa conscious man is that he speaks only of Kṛṣṇa and of matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow as stated below. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsādī Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So chapter 2 is kind of a summary of the entire Bhagavad-gītā, and we have covered 53 verses already, and a lot has been summarized till then, different kind of yoga system and science of soul, and Krishna answered different arguments of Kṛṣṇa, Arjuna, and here now, because now Krishna explained devotional service, so Arjuna is asking that a person situated in transcendence, what is his language, how does he sit, how does he walk, everything he wants to know. So this is a very wonderful nature of devotees, that they are very compassionate. Like if we see Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, here we have a nice painting of Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami, with all the Rishi Munis. So Parikshit Maharaj was also asking questions, and Parikshit Maharaj was a born devotee. Not that Parikshit was bewildered or in illusion, or he does not know whether Krishna is God or somebody else is God. He was very much clear about the goal of life. So he was, at the end of moment, he was very focused on hearing Krishna Katha. But he was asking good questions. Similarly, here we see Bhagavad-gītā also. Arjuna is inspired by Krishna to ask many, many wonderful questions, so that all of us now, we get benefited by going through that conversation. So, something funny I remember when it comes to questions. My son used to go to school when he was a small child, and then after a while we withdrew him from the school. So, after he was out of the school, we asked that what was the most important instruction your teacher was giving you every day, and he said, keep quiet. So here we see from Bhagavad-gītā, Bhagavatam, or any other wonderful conversations, it's about question and answer. See, if a student is not supposed to ask question, how will he learn? So, but if you go to any school, they teach, first thing they teach is keep quiet. So like in our classes, we allow, okay, and the end we have a specific dedicated time for questions. So devotees can ask questions, they can comment, they can express their realizations. That freedom is there. So Krishna consciousness is all about knowing Krishna and asking questions to know Krishna. Nothing else we are interested in. So this is part of the purport we will cover, but there are certain other more things which we have gathered from different places. So there is a commentary on the same verse on the book Surrender Unto Me. So I thought I will read from that. So here Bhurijan Prabhu explains that Arjuna wants to know how to recognize the sthita-prajña. So sthita-prajña, I tried to find something, and because I didn't have much time, I just came to know that I am giving class today. So, and we had a long busy day. So I found one place Prabhupada quotes Bali Maharaj. That although Bali Maharaj had lost everything, he was fixed in his determination to satisfy Vamana Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad-gītā, such a person is called sthita-prajña. So I understand from this example is that a person who is always fixed to satisfy Krishna, he has no other goal of life, but to satisfy Krishna is sthita-prajña. Like we see all these wonderful devotees, like Prabhupada was today speaking in one class, these Pandavas had all the challenges in their life, and still they were thinking of Krishna all the time. What kind of hypnotism was this? Prabhupada was laughing. Prabhupada was laughing. What kind of hypnotism was Krishna doing? His wife was tried to be made naked, the house was set to fire, and all kind of challenges, but always remembering Krishna. What kind of hypnotism was this? So, but this is called sthita-prajña. So, no external challenges can disturb a devotee. That is called sthita-prajña. So, like for now, we are going through a kind of summer, right? This is called summer. So, Bhagavad-gītā says, Matra sparshāstu kaunteya. So this is just due to sensory perception that we are feeling heat and cold. But as Prabhupada quotes in that translation that a housewife cooks, right? Has any housewife stopped cooking? Maybe here, yes, in Vrindavan, because we have Kṛṣṇa Balaram hall feeding twice a day. But in general, the cooking never stops in the house. Or at least Kṛṣṇa Balaram kitchen is cooking, right? Even though 45 degrees, the devotees are sincerely cooking every single day. So that is called sthita-prajña. That their goal is to satisfy Krishna all the time. They don't think about themselves. A devotee never thinks of his comfort. For him, comfort is for Krishna. What will please Krishna? That he always keeps thinking. That is called sthita-prajña. So just imagine Bali Maharaj now. What kind of a challenge he was going through. He has to abandon his guru, right? His Guru was telling, don't give his Kṛṣṇa, he will take away everything. He said, no. So he has to abandon his Guru. And then in 2 steps, everything was taken. He didn't left any third place to give now. Still he was fixed and he was glorifying Kṛṣṇa. So that is called sthita-prajña. So such person Arjuna is inquiring about. This is what he is asking for, that how to identify such a person. And I understand that this is, certainly many qualities are external, but it's mostly about internal fixation of mind on Krishna's lotus feet. The more we are fixated on Krishna's lotus feet, the more we are undisturbed and the more we act like here described, sthita-prajña. So actually this verse is question. We are not supposed to be speaking on these answers, because then tomorrow somebody is going to speak on those verses. Starting tomorrow is the answer. So we will continue on these questions like this. Okay? So Bhurijan Prabhu writes that Arjuna wants to know how to recognize the sthita-prajña, one in divine consciousness. He therefore asks, what are his symptoms? How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Arjuna's first question asks, how is one who is transcendently situated described? What are his characteristics? Although this question seems to deal only with such a person's external behavior, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reveals each question's internal meaning. Because Krishna consciousness has to be demonstrated both on a gross level and subtle level. That it's not possible that with my external senses I am showing that I am a devotee, nice dress, tilaka, everything looking good, and internally I am meditating on something which is not connected to Krishna. So internal and external synchronization is very, very important. Then we can be happy. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is connecting in his commentary everything with internal also. This is every question. And then Prabhupada explains in one class he gave on these words, a very small portion of that all our activities are to be dovetailed in a certain way that we can join ourselves with super consciousness. So that's the explanation Prabhupada gives here, that all our activities should be dovetailed with super consciousness, which is Krishna. So, like Prabhupada has given, for example, Ambarish Maharaj, all his activities were like, was with his hands cleaning the temple, with his feet walking, with his eyes taking darshan of the Lord. So this is how we engage. But this is all again external. But most important is Savai Mana Krishna, Pada Krishna Ravinda. So he was with the mind always thinking of Krishna's lotus feet. That is the most important thing to do. Because Prabhupada explained in one of the class that till the time the subtle body is liberated, we cannot be liberated. So it's not about external liberation of the physical body, the gross body, but we have to liberate the subtle body also. And that subtle body is liberated when the mind, intelligence and ego is also engaged in Krishna service. So in general we can understand now how much time we do really engage our mind in thinking of Krishna. We are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But it might be possible that I am thinking of something which is not connected to this japa, or I am not hearing these 3 syllables. Right? So that challenge we know what we are going through. But that has to be very much brought in line with Krishna's activity, Krishna's pastimes, we have to be very focused on hearing it. Because this is not something very cheap which we have to. Arjuna was not an ordinary personality, try to understand. Arjuna is not a normal personality. He was one of the best Dhanurdhar of his time, right? And he could control with his whatever arsenal he had, the wind, the flow of the wind he can control, the flowing water he can stop, but he is telling I cannot control the mind. So he is a very, very special devotee. Just imagine Krishna decided to be on his chariot as his driver. So he is certainly not an ordinary soul. He is a dear friend of Krishna and he wants to know this. So only out of compassion he is putting forward this question so that we can understand how to recognize such a person and how to become such a person also, because we also want to satisfy Krishna. That is also our goal. We have tried to satisfy so many masters in our life, but we don't get happiness, we don't get satisfaction, and we feel cheated all the time. We feel cheated all the time. So Krishna is a master which never cheats us, is always trying to help us. So if we understand this particular action plan of a transcendentalist, then it will be very helpful for us to be demonstrating such acts in our life, both externally and internally. And about the speech, this verse speaks about the speech. So there is a verse in Bhagavad-gītā on speech, austerity of speech. It's on Bhagavad-gītā 7.15. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting the Vedic literature. Purport. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the mind of others. So this is very important. Sometimes we try to correct things which are not in our control, and we generally create agitation. This is very common in our dealing with devotees, right? I'm sure we all have experienced that. We have agitated, and we have been agitated by others. Both way we have felt in our life many times, or maybe daily. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students, if he will agitate their minds. So a teacher can speak to a student, but if for example, he is teacher to me, he can speak to me, but if he is not teacher to him, he cannot speak the same tone with the same, but somehow the teachers sometimes are in the tone that they always speak in the same tone with anybody they meet. So that might be cause of an agitation. So this speech is very important to be in line. A lot of austerity is required to be having a control on the speech. Further, Prabhupada writes in the Purport, this is penance as far as talking is concerned. Besides that, one should not talk nonsense. So nonsense means anything which is not connected to Krishna is all nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circle is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he is saying. This was a custom. Everything was supported by scriptures, like a lawyer quotes from the law book. So devotee quotes from Bhagavad-gītā or Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. Some scriptures we have to quote from. We cannot speak whimsically. One should at once quote from the scriptural authority to back up what he is saying. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ear. By such discussions, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate human society. There is a limitless talk of Vedic literature, and one should study this. This is called penance of speech. So Prabhupada is emphasizing the study of scriptures here. So once we have a huge database in our mind of the scriptures, then we will be able to quote. But if our reading of the scriptures is not enough, then we will speak what we are gathering from wherever, social media or some television, some newspaper, magazines, whatever is our input source, we don't know. Every one of has a different input source. But the input source suggested here is scriptures. That is austerity of speech. So the moment we start the intake of these scriptures more into our consciousness, whatever comes out will be all connected to scriptures. It's very natural. Like a doctor speaks medical language, an engineer speaks construction language. A devotee should speak Krishna conscious language. Right? So as a devotees, we should be talking everything in connection to Krishna. This is how we should be training ourselves. But this is possible when we read the scriptures. And that is the austerity of speech is not to be quiet. Many people propagate this monism. Mon matlab shant, don't speak anything. That is not austerity. Real austerity is to glorify Krishna. That we speak only everything just to glorify Krishna. So we have nectar of instruction also speaking about this. First verse, right? First verse is about vacho vegam. So it's a long, very long purport on that, and a specific portion is about speech. So first, one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. So it's very difficult to be quiet. People want to speak in general. So Prabhupada is telling this, that this is a general tendency that everybody wants to speak. And if we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. So this is what in connection to this, because it was says it's all nonsense, and now Prabhupada is defining that anything which is not connected to Krishna consciousness is all nonsense. So we have to be very careful when we are speaking. Very, very careful. Because we are conditioned to be speaking nonsense since our childhood. It's not that we want to do it, but we are conditioned like that. From our school, college, family, society, friends, because nobody talks about Krishna. Everybody talks about things which are not connected, which has nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. So we have to be very careful. While eating prasad, if somebody, we should bring our mind to Krishna always. Try to glorify Krishna. That is real austerity of speech. That is a basic requirement to become sthita-prajña. If this one quality comes, the other qualities will follow. The other qualities will follow. We don't have to try to go get those qualities. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. We will read again that part. Further, Prabhupada writes, if we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, a toad in a field speaks by croaking. Toad means frog, right? Frog in the field is croaking. And similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak, even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, like for example, oh, today prasad was not good, or today there was a huge crowd in the. This is all useless talk. What are we interested? Why can't we talk about Krishna? Oh, Krishna Balram was dressed really wonderful today. The garland were excellent. They were smiling on me today. Why can't we talk these things? But it's conditioning. Not that we don't want to do it, it's a conditioning. So, not that we are all bad people, but somehow we are conditioned like that. So, we have to deprogram our thought process and talk process, the way we are talking. No? Or sometimes we talk about the dresses. I mean, talk about Krishna's dress. Everything can be connected to Krishna. Who changes the number of dresses most in this Vrindavan? Only Krishna can do that. We are poor people. We have the same white day every day. What we have to talk about the dress? So better to talk about Krishna, Balram, Radheshyam, Uranitai. Beautiful. Every single day is Janmashtami in Vrindavan. So, but we have to consciously train our mind so that we speak about Krishna all the time. It's very important. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. Nevertheless, although it is inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic man and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of a frog. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence. See again, Prabhupada is putting this point. The external process of mona is not good. As Mayavadi philosophers think, silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure because you can't silence your mind. Mind is still active. I might not speak, but I cannot stop the mind. So, but if we are glorifying Krishna, then obviously the mind is connected in that process, and gradually the mind will also start thinking of Krishna. So, it will not sustain this process of keeping silence. It proves a failure. By contrast, the controlled speech advocated by Srila Rupa Goswami is a positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process in glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So we have to engage our power of speech in glorifying Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge of speak. So, this is a very, very important point that when a person becomes Krishna conscious, in the very self-same body we are already liberated. Liberation is not that we have to die and then give up this body and then we become liberated and go somewhere. It's not like that. Prabhupada explains very clearly that if we are fixed in devotional service, we are liberated. One who is engaged in devotional service always is liberation. That is liberation. So the beginning is tongue. As this Vachuvegam verse also explains that if this is the most voracious sense, right? If we control this, then all other senses are controlled. So as this verse, Prabhupada explains that, sorry, I have highlighted in this. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks, for the speech is the most important quality of any man. So as these verses of Updeshamrita are bringing the point that if we are not using these senses properly, we are inviting death. Death in the sense, we are killing our consciousness. Our consciousness is getting killed, and in the process we become a materialistic person. Because if we are not talking about Krishna, then we are talking about something kind of Maya, right? Which is not important for us. So presence to this speech is very, very important. Which have to be very calculative, very expertly we have to speak in our life. Otherwise, keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This is very easy. If you are not able to read Shastras, if it is not enough appealing your attention, then chant Hare Krishna all the time, no problem. This is the essence of all the scriptures, that we keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So anybody who comes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jare, Dekho, Tare, Kaho, Krishna, so chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra for that person and make him chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the best service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jare, Dekho, Tare, Kaho, Krishna Updesh means, Prabhupada was speaking in the same class I was in. Krishna Updesh means Bhagavad-gītā. What Krishna has given in Bhagavad-gītā, not that what you want to speak. Krishna Updesh means what Krishna has given, not what you want to give. So give what Krishna has given. That is Krishna Updesh. And then the last sentence Prabhupada writes, the immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna. So Kapil Dev also expressed to Mother Dehuti that a sadhu always speaks about Krishna. That is a real sadhu. And this is what Arjuna wants to know about these qualities or the symptoms of a person who is in transcendence. So that will be covered from the tomorrow verses. Krishna will start answering that. And then last, Prabhupada says, other symptoms then automatically follows. So if we can just cultivate this one habit, that I will not speak anything but about Krishna. We have all these wonderful ideas in our life to discuss and talk, but no, because a devotee is not supposed to be planning anything. Because everything goes as per Krishna's plan. So why should we plan then? So better keep glorifying Krishna, and Krishna will make all necessary arrangement for us to live a good Krishna conscious life. This is called sthita-prajñasya. Such is a person called sthita-prajñasya. And how he walks, eats, talks, that will be all coming. But here in this verse, Prabhupada specifically emphasizes this point of speech. That we cannot speak anything else but about Krishna, otherwise it is all nonsense. Our mind might convince us, no, itna to baat karna hi padega. No, this much I have to talk, but why? That's the question we have to ask. Why? It's a conditioning. Like even a family. So husband, wife, parents, son, we all gather and we do kirtan, or we talk about why we have to talk all other things. It's a conditioning, it's a social conditioning. So we have to create a Krishna conscious culture in our families, in our communities. Whomever we meet, we talk about Krishna. It's very easy. Or we keep chanting. If we don't know the pastimes of Bhagavatam, if we are not getting enough time because of our over engagement in chanting Hare Krishna mantra, fine. Keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that's perfectly fine. But no need to there, and this Prajalpa, Vijalpa, there are all, I was going through that, but it was too much. In Bhagavatam, in 10th canto somewhere, Prabhupada is writing all these different 6 categories of speech. But it was too technical, I couldn't understand it, so I didn't try to cover it today. So thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai. We have some 10-15 minutes. If anybody has to comment or question, we have time. Yes, Prabhu.
You were saying, thank you very much for the last two. You were saying that we should engage our mind, intelligence, ego, and consciousness in Krishna. How do we engage our ego?
Very good question. So, generally Prabhupada explains this ego is that we are this body and not a spirit soul. But we have to understand that we are not this body but a spirit soul. So that is false ego is that I am body, and the real ego is that I am servant of Krishna. So when we start serving every single species created by Krishna, then we are correcting or engaging our ego in Krishna's service. That's the easiest way to do it. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, that Jivera Swarupa Hai Krishnera Nitya Das. So when we accept our constitutional position of a servant, the only reason why we are here is because we wanted to enjoy as a master, independent of Krishna. So when we reverse that equation and accept our situation, which is real situation, which is of a servant, then we are engaging our ego also in Krishna's service.
In this purport was given, fool remains undetected unless he speaks.
Yeah.
I think the opposite is also true. Intelligent person also remains undetected unless he speaks.
Yes. But
This is true in your case.
But ideally, an intelligent person should be speaking, otherwise he's not intelligent, he's a fool. If a person is not glorifying Krishna, then he's a fool. Very but nice observation, thank you. तो स्थित-प्रज्ञा तो हमने समझाया, तो मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ? हिंदी में बोलूँ?
नहीं थोड़ा और बता दो.
But I speak in English or Hindi?
दोनों.
So
हिंदी.
okay, so his question is what is sthita-prajña, which we have discussed in the class, but Prabhu still want to know it again in Hindi now. So sthita-prajña वो जीव जो केवल भगवान को संतुष्ट करने के लिए कार्य करता है और किसी भी परिस्थिति में वो विचलित नहीं होता है, उसका मन विचलित नहीं होता है और भगवान की सेवा में नित्य निरंतर लगा रहेगा, उसको स्थित-प्रज्ञा कहते हैं. उसके जीवन का एकमात्र लक्ष्य भगवान को संतुष्ट करना है. भगवान कौन है? भगवान कृष्ण. ये तो स्थित-प्रज्ञा हुआ. दूसरा आपने जो प्रश्न पूछा दैट कि अर्जुन को पता नहीं था ये सब, वो पूछ रहा है कि वर्ण शंकर, ऐसा कुछ बोल रहे हैं आप, राइट? क्योंकि सो ऐसे ये एक तरह का ड्रामा है, रोल प्ले हो चल रहा है. अर्जुन ने ऐसा रोल लिया कि जिसमें उसने बताया कि मैं भ्रमित हूँ, मुझे पता नहीं है शरीर क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, जैसे परीक्षित महाराज ने भी किया कि मैं क्या करूँ. सो उनको तो सब पता था, वो तो भगवान के मित्र थे, भगवान के सानिध्य में थे सारा जीवन. लेकिन हम लोगों के लिए जो कलयुग के जीव हैं, उनका उद्धार हेतु ये भगवद-गीता का संकलन होना आवश्यक था. इसलिए ये प्रश्न पूछे गए और इसको पढ़ के अर्जुन ने तो सुना, और जो अर्जुन तो आखिर में उसका तो भ्रम दूर हो गया, उसका मोह दूर हो गया, लेकिन हमारा नहीं हो रहा है, मतलब हम अभी तक समझे नहीं हैं. इसलिए हमको बारंबार भगवद-गीता को पढ़ना चाहिए. तो आप भगवद-गीता पढ़िए, जितना अधिक इसको पढ़ेंगे हम, ऐसा नहीं इसको एक बार पढ़ के साइड में रखना है, इसको रोज़ नित्य निरंतर आजीवन पढ़ते रहना है. ये सूचना भगवान देते हैं गीता के अंदर. इट्स नॉट समथिंग टू बी रेड ओनली वंस, it has to be read every single day, again and again, because it will keep revealing new and new understanding to us throughout our life.
जो भगवान की स्थिति है वो तो आई है. वो तो मैं पूछ रहा कि जो अर्जुन ने सवाल किया था कि भगवान संतान पैदा होगी, तो अर्जुन तो खुद मतलब इंद्र की संतान है, वो पांडुपुत्र कहला रही. तो मेरा सवाल ये था कि अर्जुन भयभीत है, डरा हुआ है, वो तो सब बात है, सवाल था तो वो मतलब भगवान के लिए क्या सवाल था?
प्रश्न आप आखिर का प्रश्न पूछिए, आखिर का प्रश्न आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। सिचुएशन तो अच्छा समझा रहे हैं आप, फिर प्रश्न में अटक जा रहे हैं आप, शायद ऐसा लग रहा है।
अभी वो बोल रहे हैं कि ये अर्जुन तो पूछ रहा है भगवान को, तो अर्जुन अपने लिए पूछ रहा है कि जो
ऐसा पूछ रहे हैं आप? ऐसा नहीं पूछ रहे हैं ये।
हाँ,
एनीवेज, थोड़ा और सोचिए आप। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? ओके, तो श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।